Good morning, everyone. I'd like to start by saying that we finally made it to the end of the year. It feels like it's been a long 8 months of school, so could you imagine how long 2 years must feel? This is how long it takes to get a green card in the United States. The immigration process is one of the most outdated government based operations in all American history. It somehow manages to be outdated while being updated frequently, and this is because I believe that there is a problem in the structure of the system. There is evidence across the entire topic that there is a structural problem that stems throughout history and is still affecting the country to this day. I believe there needs to be changes in reforming in immigration laws. Since the 1880s, immigrants came to America to seek religion and political freedom and economic opportunity. As such, immigrants embraced part of the American culture, where Americans embraced part of the immigrants' culture. As a result, America became known as a melting pot of diverse cultures and ethnicities that form the framework of this country. According to the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, there were few laws in place that regulated immigration during the 1700s and 1800s. In 1875, our Supreme Court ruled that it would be the responsibility of the federal government when it came to immigration regulations. From there, immigration legislation passed, resolving disputes and objections to few amendments. Over the years, legislation such as the Immigration and Naturalization Act of 1965 passed. Here, this act eliminated the citizenship formula that has been in place since the 1920s. Instead, it allowed immigrants from other parts of the world into the United States. Next, the passage of the Immigration Reform Act of 1986. It provided better enforcement and opportunities for those in becoming legal immigrants. However, after 9/11, the immigration debate that once included economic security and humanity matters changed, prioritizing national security. This is when immigration laws became very strict and the country was nearly on lockdown, and immigration ultimately became a huge topic of debate in all politics. If you look back at this history of immigration, you will see that a lot of these laws were created for the sole purpose of keeping people out. Not illegal people, but quite literally races. Looking back at the discrimination of Asian cultures and Germans after both world wars, which then carried over to Hispanics in later years. There is no real reasoning for most of the immigration restrictions in this country besides national security. The American government has spent the past 40 years adding on to the foundation, trying to fix it instead of reforming the foundation. One of the most intriguing facts about the immigration debate is the relationship it has with both Republicans and Democrats. Republicans remain very conservative about this topic and feel that restrictions protect the American people. According to an article, The Republican Views, it asserts that the Republican Party believes in immigration laws and immigration reforms that address the needs of national security. They do not want bad people coming into America and creating a hostile environment, which can be an unfair narrative. But in defense to this, they use the M&M bag metaphor. This metaphor provides an understanding to immigration cautions when comparing it to a bag of M&Ms. One can have a bag of 80 M&Ms, but 10 of them be poisoned. So to safely eat this bag, you must thoroughly inspect each M&M before you eat it. This idea is a process that must be considered because yes, there are bad people who want to come into our country and we should take precautions to avoid them. But they have an understanding that there needs to be changes because somehow there are still bad people who get into this country even with all the restrictions we have. So there must be a problem in the structure. On the other hand, according to the Democratic Party platform, the Democrats' position believes that immigration is not just a problem to be solved, it is a defining aspect of American character and our shared history. Even though it is interesting to look at how they define immigration as the defining aspect of American character, without immigration, America would not be what it is today. America would not be full of hardworking people who strive for the best. The Democratic Party is very supportive of including immigrants through their DREAM Act that allows temporary status for immigrants to study, work, pay taxes, and contribute to the communities they grew up in. The Democratic Party believes that this country can only grow if immigrants are included, and their contribution allows the economy to grow as well. If you take both sides into consideration, you'll see that they are very different, but they have one similarity. They both understand that the immigration laws need changes and need reforming. The thing that we all need to understand are the benefits that immigration has on America. One of the biggest misconceptions of American immigration is that there are cons to immigrants coming into America. But in fact, a lot of these cons are not entirely true. The administration's justification for the laws they set rests on the outrageous assumption that immigrants harm the nation and economy. The most common worry about immigration is national security, but to be entirely honest, many politicians have brought up the fact that national security is run through its own organization, and they're just using this debate to slow down citizenships and green card approvals. Especially when there are so many benefits to immigration, it's hard to believe that they are just looking at national security. The first and biggest is the economic opportunity that immigrants bring. Most of the same people who claim we need to make our immigration laws stricter are the same people who worry about the economy. The irony is that immigrants are one of the biggest factors of economic growth. Immigration provides more workers for the economy, which causes there to be more output on products. Another common worry about the economic growth is in production, and usually when there's an economic shock in production or in consumers, there creates higher wages. But that once again, that is only when there is an economic shock in one of those areas. But with immigrants, there is an increase in both producers and consumers. Therefore, the economy can grow, especially when all immigrants are documented. Another misconception of immigrants is that they are undocumented for no reason or only for bad reasons. But most of the time, they are undocumented because of how long and hard the process of getting into America is. And then there are people who also complain that immigrants take jobs, but they take the jobs that nobody else wants. They are willing to do any work they can do to make money because they don't exactly get financial help when they first migrate. So they are desperate for work. But also, guess what? When there is an increase in production and consumers, there is an increase in jobs. So they also provide more jobs to the country, which once again allows our economy to grow. So all around, you can see that immigration has so many benefits for America, but people still choose to ignore them. Instead, they listen to the misconceptions from people who do not want more immigration into this country. The only question is, will you do the same?